Okay, is everybody still on here? Because I swear my stuff going in and out.
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, so somebody got this on the screen.
Name.
No, they say a leader.
All right, thank you everyone for tuning in to Sip and Talk. I'm your host, Ms.Londa. We have a great topic for you this evening, but I would like to first introduce my co-host. Let's welcome Miss Sneed.
Hello, Miss
Hey, how
Sneed.
you doing?
We have Montoya. We
Welcome.
have Amanda. And our guest joining us this evening is Dwayne Franklin. And we have Dre joining us this evening. Thank you guys. So tonight we're going to be speaking on, we have a guest, our guest Dwayne would like to speak on why are we as melanin people in this predicament. And so if you would like to go on and take the floor and kind of go off and give a brief description on why you chose this topic and what points are you hitting on this topic?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Um, so yes, the topic is why are we as melanated people stuck in this predicament? I use the word melanated because I've been on a strike recently. I'm not using the word African American anymore. I'm not using the word black anymore. I'm not using the word Negro anymore because those are names that were put on us. If we really want to describe ourselves, we should describe ourselves as melanated. So I chose the word melanated just for that reason. The points I'm going to be touching on, right? So I feel as though, and it's not even I feel as though, these are facts. Some reasons we are stuck, and we're going to talk about them, is first, poor nutrition. Second, lack of education, and also miseducation. And we're going to be breaking those 2 points down um in this talk today. So those are the main 2 points that I'm going to be going over today in our talk.
Okay. Amanda, I know you had some questions for Mr. Franklin. Did you want to?
Um, One of my pinpoints about the question is some of us African Americans don't want to do better. Like it's almost like they gave up because the white man said so, and that they can't advance into life because the white man said so, which isn't true because everything is possible. It's just some of them need guidance, the proper guidance, and some of us are still living in the conditioning of how we were raised, and they're still stuck in that mind frame of thinking that there is no way out. This is how you have to live. They just need the proper guidance to show them there's a way out and not to give up.
Okay. To piggyback off of what you said, I want to remind my family that, and I call all my melanated people my family. I want to remind my family that when we were let go as slaves, well, when the Africans over in America was let go as slaves, they didn't have nowhere to go. They let them free like they let cattle free. So the states that our people are in isn't by our own choosing. It's what we had to deal with, because I know a lot of people say they don't like when I go back in history and da. But the reason I go back in history to remind my people that things were stripped from us. We were deprived of things. Like we wasn't allowed. So in 1600, slaves were not permitted to read or write. It wasn't until 1665 was the first slave allowed to read, and the slave was given the slave Bible taught by a white priest. So that I just read that little script just to give us some understanding of we are in the condition we're in today by design, not by accident, not because we're being lazy, not because we don't want to do better, but this is by design.
I mean, okay, I get it. But this is where this. Okay, I know those things took place back then, and I get it. You know, the system plays a part in some of the things that's going on, but we're here now in this day and time. What are y'all going to do better versus just saying, oh, it's because of what happened back then, but we're here now. What are you going to do to change it?
So the first thing we have to do to change anything is to unlearn all the bull crap that we've been learned. I don't know how many people I'm gonna give a real quick example. I don't know how many people on the panel have children, but if you have children, I'm pretty sure you told your child to behave once or twice. And if you told your child to behave once or twice, you were illiterately incorrect. And I ain't saying illiterate as in you're dumb or anything, but you just didn't have the understanding. Why? Because the word behave means to take action, but you're using it as a word to mean stop. Well, when they grow up, like we in a day and age now, that word is going to be misrepresented. You're misrepresenting that word to your children. So when they go out in society and they act in certain ways, and they, well, your behavior is wrong. They don't know what they's talking about because we as their parents have taught them wrong. You see what I'm saying? So for us to do anything, first, we have to unlearn all the crap that was put in out here. And that's one of the biggest problems. We are misinformed. We are miseducated. Go ahead. Thank y'all
That's
for the
true.
time.
I can agree with that. To me, though, you saying it righteous, but at the same time, to carry on, like she's saying, with the past without accurate information is going to really be detrimental. So, for a particular way of seeing things, which drew me to this show is speaking on melanin. Melanin is a chemical key component to life, meaning all around this world, melanin exists in a gas, in a carbon, in grass, in water, in the air. But in particular spaces on this planet, certain melanin is. So you got Black India, you got Black Africa, you got Black Hawaii, you got Black South America, you got Black Puerto Rico, the Dominicans, Black Mexicans, you don't even see. You got Black people in America. There is Black natives, but we have lost our focus listening to somebody else's story and scared to live on our melanin. So if we did stick to the key that God gave us and the planet to align ourselves, we would live off our melanin that he gave us. So our melanin is the DNA course in the keys to connecting us to where we came from, whether we use his words, which are spells and spellings that we cast or we write on each other. You understand what I'm saying? We don't need none of that stuff. We are Black people. We can look at each other with so much rhythm, just like the clay pot being made with the sound being made. That's a rhythm. That's the song that God made human beings with out of melanin. You understand what I'm saying? So if we get back where we came from, we don't even need to speak to each other. We got enough energy that we were speaking on to guide ourselves. Just like today, we're not accepting nothing this man put out here no more. Ain't none of us accepting that. We just don't have it in us to be firm and stand on something because we scared to live without what we was taught, which is our operating system. His social studies, his math, his English. You understand what I'm saying? We was stripped. If you was African, when an African come over here, your intellectual, God-given, ancestral gland memory will connect you with that African automatically, but you don't connect with that African. You kind of resent that African because if you was really one of them, you would connect with them in a heartbeat. But since you wanted me and you gonna connect. All of us on here on this panel gonna connect, and we ain't none of that. You understand? So when we get our key component to our melanin back in order, we will have our language and our life back.
No, I'm not cutting you off. If my name, I apologize. Oh, all right, okay, you muted. I want to touch on what Name said. So first, again, this is the problem with our language, bro. Like we have to. There's no such thing as a Black African. There's no such thing as a Black American. There's no such thing as a Black Mexican. There's no such thing as these things. These are labels that were put upon these people. There's no African that calls himself Black. There's Africans that are in America that call themselves Black, but that's because they want to fit into the culture. But there's no African over in Africa that calls themselves Black.
That there's no culture that calls themselves melanin either. So that would be made up and created too if we start saying that, right?
Okay, I apologize. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Now I'm gonna tell you why. because there was a pharaoh named Osiris in Egypt. Here's how melanin all came about. Here's how even looking at it even came about. There was this pharaoh named Osiris in Egypt. He had a green melanin content. Everybody there was brown, but he was green. And they wondered why he was green, because the natural color of melanin is green. So when he hit the sun, he turned green, letting us know that he wasn't of this dimension. Now, a lot of people say this planet. No, he just wasn't of this dimension. So when we talk about melanin today and we understanding melanin, we have to understand that when we say melanin, we're talking about the content of our skin. We ain't talking about the people that we are and our nation. We're just talking about the content of our skin. Now, the reason the content of our skin is so important is because an Arabic man is not African. He's Arabic, but he has melanin in his skin. Some Japanese people aren't black, but they have melanin in their skin. They're dark. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm bringing these points up to say, when we're talking about America, we need to use the word melanin because we're dark. We don't need to use the word melanin because, oh, well, it's a word that came from, no, because we're using that because we're dark. We're dark pigmented people. So
Hey, brother,
instead of
can I
using
say
the word
something?
nigga, instead of using the word black, instead of using the word African American, we can use what we identified as. Back in the day when they went over, I'm gonna say this last thing and then y'all got the floor. Back in the day, when the Portuguese went over to Africa, because they was the first to start the slave trade. Now this is important. Now here's why this is important, because a word was born from this slave trade. The word negro was born from this slave trade. Now, why is that so important? Because Europeans used it and they said the word and they brought forth the derogatory name nigger. But the word negro just means dark. So when they enslaved these people in Africa, their description of them was just dark-skinned people. So, and that even show our comprehension even in English, because when we take in Spanish classes, negro means black, but that's not what the word negro means. The word negro just means dark. So we have to understand these things, family. Like this is just food for thought. Just understand these things. It just changed the way you talk. Like that's why I use the word melanated, because it just changed the way you talk. Why would I keep sitting here calling myself a nigga, or why would I keep sitting here calling myself a black man or an African American when I know that's not my identity? That's not who I am. That's who they say I am.
I understand you, brother, but look, this is my theory too, and it's, a theory is just a thought. That's all a scientist is a theoretic. So there is no fact to science. Science and being a science and the study of science is the study of Kemet, the study of black people. That is what science and chemistry really is. You understand
It's
what
a
I'm saying? Chem,
hypothesis.
the original chem, which is the Kemet, which is the study, is the istri. This means study. So they're studying us at all times, from all parts of the land, from the Pangea to the separation of the land, when Osiris Honorable and his wife, his honorable loyal wife, Isis, who separated the plate, who separated the whole continent, searching for her husband's body parts, which was Osiris, put him back into 31 pieces, put him into a mummification on the 10th Mot, on the 31st day, which is Halloween, the celebration of the dead. You understand where I'm at? So I understand your story and your quest through that melanation, but melanin in itself, and that's why they put the green on in Kemet, and that's why they study it, because melanin is the key component to life, not only for humans. Ants have melanin. White people have melanin if they produce brown eyes or dark hair. So does a Mexican, so does a Chinese. So melanin cannot be a race, but it can only be the connecting DNA source for humanity to this planet. Now, the other melanation is the sulfur and the, I forgot the other one. It starts with an I. The sulfur, and I'm losing thought on the other one, but that's what white people have in their blood. That's why they smell like a dog. That's why they
Ammonia. They
produce
got
blue and they
ammonia.
produce green in their eyes. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, it's the key components to life. So there's only two melanins on this entire planet. And it's the one that we possess and it's the one that they possess. But all white people aren't white. So I do want people to understand that you cannot judge a book by its cover. You got to read the content of its skin, which is melanin. The tree has melanin. The fruits that have color have melanin. Any vegetation that has color has melanin. You understand what I'm saying? All the birds that were dropping in the bird flu and flying when the country was just a few years before the pandemic was the test of the pandemic being tested on the birds because the pandemic is attracted to melanin. It was created by white folk, the J6, the Trumpsters. There was somebody within that party that got indicted for doing this. You understand what I'm saying? So we ain't really paying attention. Melanin is under attack right now. They're sterilizing melanin in your pineal gland. Your pineal gland is between your temples, in your right in your head. And there's one thing that exists in Africa why they say we're all from Africa, because there's an island with a pineal gland bigger than all of us, and it matches what sits in our brain. You know what I'm saying? But the one that sits in our brain spins on an axis like the earth. It spins. But you know, so when you watch Candyland and you seen the white master talk about how they break the back of the black man's skull because he's sensitive and he can dig out through where his spinal taps into the melanin source. That's what they were going for. So in order to gain control of what we're talking about today and actually take power and initiative, the only thing we got to do as a people, and all of us are not the same people, so us that's rich with the melanin that they're searching for, that we have to die so much in such a vast way every day so they can collect our melanin and do our body parts, like that little sister in Chicago in the elevator in the freezer. You know what I'm talking about? Is to make our own melanin bank. You understand what I'm saying? This is why they got us hostage in this country. We are the most valuable copper tone people ever made by God. God's wife, Isis, the honorable Isis, the loyal Isis that found his body parts on the 10th month, the 31st day, and mummified him. The living God of the earth, his wife, separated, brung us into the West. She put her children on an island and sped off into the West. You know what island that is? Her foot's still on that island, chained up with a thing on her head. She called it the Statue of Liberty. That's the same thing was on Jesus' head as on her head. You understand what I'm talking about? But if you don't know the real stories, you know what I'm saying? You will believe these stories, these people telling you, and not honor your God mom that separated us and them from us. They didn't find us to the 1600s. You understand? And this happened before Christ existed. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how cold our mama was. So that's really what we own right here. Organize that melanin bank.
I wanna allow somebody else to like talk before I go in.
I wanted to say something.
Nice man.
I believe it's just my theory and what I've observed. White people are in a rush to deteriorate our DNA, and there's so many of our children coming up missing. We don't get no Amber Alerts, but we coming up missing. When they find us, we're missing organs and stuff. Our organs are missing because we have what it needs to cure a lot of stuff. Our organs is like gold to white people to help them out. But I don't know if that's how everybody else feels, but somebody else can speak.
That's kind of what I'm hitting on, sis. It's the unmelanated people taking the melanated people's life force.
Okay, I want to go in on some things that Name has said, and that who was just speaking? What little lady was just speaking? I apologize.
Amanda.
Okay, Amanda. Okay, so I want to touch on some things that that Name has said and that Amanda has said. Amanda, first thing, sweetheart, I want you to go research Pizzagate. Everything you talking about is called Pizzagate. This is public information. They taking black men organs because black men organs sell more than white men organs on the stock market. And what they're doing is they're keeping themselves alive. So when we talk about rich folk, when we talk about white people, right? Like Dick Gregory say, if you ain't got see, being white is an attitude, it's not a skin color. And if you ain't got trillions of dollars in a bank, you can't be white. So those be rich folks, those be white folks. So those white folks, what they're doing is they're taking these black men organs so they can live longer. These men up there, 200, 300 years old, 195 years old. The oldest Rockefeller is what, 127? And this man looked purple. But that's because he keep getting blood transfusions, heart transfusions, liver transfusions. So that's what I wanted to say about that. But Pizzagate, look that up, Amanda. Now on what Name was talking about, so the word Kemet, when you study Kemet, and now Kemet is the original name of Egypt. Egypt actually means bondage, family. If y'all go back and do your history on the word Egypt, it really means bondage. But before it was called Egypt, it was called Kemet, or the land of Kim. Now here's why they called it the land of Kim, because it was the black land. Now a lot of people, when they get carried away with, you know, being black and everything black, they say, well, the reason it's called the black land is because that's where all the black people was. No, it was called the black land when you go do your research, because at nighttime, the land was dark. And when they was traveling to Egypt, they couldn't see, like it's the black land, like they can't see nothing. It turns completely black. So that's why the word Kemet, it was called the black land, just because at night the land was completely black.
Okay, I have a couple comments from Elknaya. We as people have lost our way. We are kings and queens. We had riches, we had land. Society has stripped us of everything. It's so bad now that right as a whole has been stripped away from drugs, gang banging, single parent homes. We've been stereotyped for years. He also asked, where are reparations?
Okay. So we're going to get into that because that's important. In the name of Shahrazad Ali, in the words of Shahrazad Ali, she's an activist. She wrote a couple of books. A guide on a black man's guide on understanding the black woman, a black woman's guide on understanding the black man, and she wrote a book on how not to eat pork. Now, in the words of Shahrazad Ali, women has always been our number one source of nutrition. This is important because the number one reason we're stuck in this situation today is because of our lack of nutrition. Our women not knowing how to cook the right food. Our women start breastfeeding, stop breastfeeding that baby, start giving them Similac. I'm trying to get my notes out so I can really tell y'all about
Church,
the
yeah,
cow's
man.
milk. So all right, here go my notes right here. I'm sorry, y'all. So cow's milk, right? They tried to transgenetic cow's milk to be human's milk. It's right here. So they was talking about New Zealand cloned cows to produce milk with no allergies. And the only way they could do this was to try to put the human gene in a cow. So the cow could produce human milk. This process is called transgenetics, family. Go look up transgenetics, TRANSGENICS, transgenetics. And what transgenetics is just cross-gening. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because this has a lot to do with the mind state of our people. Number one, because we have to go to supermarkets. And the reason I brought up Shahrazad Ali, Why Not to Eat Meat, is because in that book, she talks about the worm, the Angosia worm. That worm is a parasite. And that parasite basically is one of the parasites that go inside of the animal and controls the animal. It takes over the animal mind. And in the book, she breaks down, it's related to one of the parasites that get inside of praying mantis, and it make them kill themselves. It get inside of ants, and it make them do all types of crazy things to themselves. So this is what we was eating, family. And she wrote a book about it. And back in the day, now this book came out in the 1950s. And in the book, now I apologize, 1987.
And real
Now,
quick, 'cause can I jump in really quick? Because
yes, ma'am, I
okay,
apologize.
so I'm not sure if you're answering are you getting to his question, or is this related to
Yes,
his
yeah.
question?
So all of this is related to his question. The reason it's related to his questions because he was talking about how we are not like our mental. You see what I'm saying? And the number one fact of our mental is our nutrition. You see what I'm saying? Now, as a baby, the first thing we're supposed to do to get our nutrition is breastfeed, but we don't do that. So the reason I was breaking down the milk and things is because Similac is a transgenetic between cow's milk and human's milk that we give babies. And that's messing with their minds because it has a worm in it. It has a parasite in it. So now we have these delinquents that are growing up and they can't function correctly. Well, we've been giving them parasitic milk all their damn life. So that I'm done. Thank you for that. But yes, that's how I answered his question.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Franklin? I don't have any questions because I really don't understand any of this. Really, I don't.
Me either, and I'm
That's what
trying.
I was getting ready to say.
It's a lot of information.
Where are we going? Like,
Tanza.
what's the overall idea
Tanza, you
here?
another
Because I'm
woman.
hearing a lot of stuff. I'm hearing about the melanin, and then I'm hearing about the oppression we as Black people. And I'm trying to see, like, what's the connection, that's being made here, because my understanding of melanin is that it protects us from the sun and from the UV rays. It's the pigmentation. It provides the pigmentation in our skin and in our eyes. And we as Black people, we do have melanin because of, where we come from. It was needed to protect us from the sun. But I'm not getting the connection as to how it relates to the oppression that we are experiencing as a people.
So it don't. I apologize. I want to answer the question. It don't. The reason I use the word, I don't know if you was here when I explained this. Right. The reason I used the word melanated in the title was because I don't use the word Black. I don't use the word African American. I don't use titles that was put on us. Instead, I use what we would describe as. So that's why I use the word melanated. I didn't use it to talk about it, but I just used it because that's who we are. And we realize wherever we look, we are stuck in situations. You see what I'm saying?
Can I jump on that a little bit? I'm coming from the angle of melanin has a value. Melanin has the most value on this planet out of everything. And us as a people, since we dying so rapidly, we should uniform and unite and start what is called a melanin bank. We should bank our melanin as a union, like a credit union. When we die, that should be part of our trust, our will, our grant, or anything we leave behind. You understand what I'm saying? Because guess what they're going to do to you like a fish when you die? They're going to gut you like a fish and throw that stuff in a bag and go make it.
Well, when we die, we don't need this shell.
Hold
we
on,
don't
but what
need
about
these
your people
bodies
behind
anymore.
you? That's what I'm saying. And see if it was already set up in front of you, so you could have inherited it, right? When you was here. See, this is a system that we don't have in place. You get what I'm saying? And talking about creating it, it don't seem to help the person that would be the creator, because you're going to be the sacrifice for the future, because it's not here for you right now. But the only thing that can come in the future for us is to stop giving away the placenta, stop giving away the umbilical cord. Those are stem cells. Those are things that record life. You understand what I'm saying? When a baby is born, the bag is alive just like the baby. The bag has a heartbeat and it pumps and it's supposed to dump everything into the baby until its heartbeat stops. You understand what I'm saying? And if we was doing the origination of mankind, when women was running things, a woman would leave you, go have her baby somewhere in the forest. And when she's done doing that process, she would bury that placenta and a tree would grow. And then you will hear, well, go on down around yonder by that tree and get that little thing that's growing because baby's sick, right? Because the medicine will still be there. but we don't know our rite of passage. We don't know our heritage from our village. So we don't know how to protect ourselves. Melanin ain't the only part that we looking at. It has more to do with, you got to know how to, a woman's sensory was made for her to be able to go out here in this world and find food, whether a white man gave her a food stamp card or not. You understand what I'm saying? It's still black women down in the jungles of the Amazon in Brazil and South America. Even though y'all ain't the same black woman, she's making babies in the field still. She's finding stuff in the forest still. You understand what I'm saying? They trying to make them go to a hospital. They said, no, we doing it the way we've been doing it. And they okay. They don't even got COVID in their country. If y'all paying attention, them one of the 16 countries that don't got COVID. The high melanated people who still eat the originator melanin products that grow on this planet. They don't eat no processed foods and stuff that kill your melanin. You understand what I'm saying? So for us to be under this attack from COVID-19 and our people standing right under our feet, a country down, not sick, what does that tell you? That's what Dr. Africa and Dr. Sebi was playing at. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
So what's that
Also,
telling
Dick
you?
Gregory, Gregory. Don't forget about that, brother.
Yeah, but I'm saying on the medical tip, on the health tip,
Yeah,
on the
on a medical
tip.
tip. Who you think
You
was keeping Michael Jackson alive?
There was these two,
Dick
but these
Gregory.
two was helping the whole industry. But I understand. I ain't debating, bro. I understand what you're saying.
No,
But
I ain't
my
debating. I'm
point
just
is
throwing some names out there.
the gifts that come out of those lands underneath our feet. You know what I'm saying? In the Honduras where Left Eye was swimming at, and she got rid of HIV. You understand what I'm saying? The value of what's down there for us as a people that we don't understand. You get what I'm saying? Our natural diet that's been taken from us, given a chitlin circuit. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, why are we being fed this stuff and marketed for parts? You know what I mean? We getting fed stuff to make us an instant thing for somebody, like oatmeal in a microwave. You feel me?
I would like to piggyback off of Nana's.
Well, Tanza she's had her hand up.
Well,
I was just, I just wanted, I know that I came in the middle of you talking and I'm sure I missed something important, but I just wanted to say one little thing about, the topic of the show is why are melanated people in this predicament, right? That's the topic, right? And we've heard a lot of discussion about a lot of things. Like Toya said, some of it's outside of my scope of understanding, and there's a lot, being discussed. But I feel like one of the major reasons that we as a people are, in any predicament is because of our lack of commitment to a lot of things, whether it's our culture, whether it's our name. And I just want to start there, because the fact that we're having this discussion about whether or not we should be Black, whether or not we should be African American, whether or not we should be melanated people, all that other stuff, you don't have any other culture going through this. And the thing about it, and I just want to point one thing out, and I understand how strongly people feel about being called melanated now. Doesn't really matter. But I want, outside of being called niggas, okay? Every other name that we've been called, we've come up with. Okay, we wanted to be called African American. We wanted to be called Negroes. Now we want to be called, or we wanted to be called Black. And now we're saying we want to be called melanated. And every time the wind shifts, because the government has to eventually catch up, and we'll start fighting, or we'll start protesting or whatever, because we want our name changed. So I just want to point that out. I think that that's a really, really important thing that we can't overlook, because we can't even decide who we are. Melanin, like I think it was Nami that already mentioned, is not something that's unique to African American, Black people. Melanin is in everybody, guys. Everybody's melanated. It's just to what degree, right? So white people have melanin in their skin too. We have more. That's what makes us special and what's unique. But it's not unique to African American or Black people or Negroes or whatever. It's not unique to us. And so we're doing it again. I would just like to point that out, that we're doing it again. And we're coming together and we're saying we don't like what we've been called. But in all actuality, every other culture is identified with a name that identifies where they originate from, right? So
Asian Americans originate in Asia, right? Italian, whatever the culture is, whatever name anybody has, it always has to do with where they originated from, with the exception of just calling someone Caucasian, right? Or just calling someone, right? Or just calling someone Black. Everybody else has to do with where they originated from. So I just want to point that out. I think that the big problem is, why can't we as a people be okay with who we are first and not change who we are every 5 minutes? It feels like that to me, because in my lifetime, I've been Black, I've been Negro, I've been Black, I've been African American, and now I'm melanated, and I haven't even hit 50 yet. I haven't even hit 50.
Don't forget other.
You know what I'm saying? So without that, without just being able to calm down in some areas, because we wouldn't have got lost in being called African American, we wouldn't have been lost in being called whatever it was.
Right.
But if we could just pause and take one thing at a time and stick with it. It's our inability to stick with it. Toya, I see you nodding your head. Are you in agreement with me, or am I off my?
Yeah,
I'm definitely in agreement with you, because, and another thing that I've been hearing is I've been being educated on a few things, some things about, when we have a child, preserving the placenta. I've done that. I actually did that with my last child. But what can we do with all these tools and this information that we have? We can organize, come together, and start educating the people instead of constant. I feel like a lot of times we as a people, we come to realization with some things, or we discover things about who we are, or things that can help to advance us. And we start kicking and hitting instead of organizing, coming together. We have the tools. We can organize agencies and nonprofits to help to educate the community and do it that way, because it's difficult to grasp everything if we're just pointing fingers and coming up with the racial issue thing. We need to organize and come together, and let's educate the community. Let's educate the newer generations that are coming up, and do it that way and see what happens.
Yeah, and one more thing, I just want to say, what you're saying is absolutely right, Toya, and that's part of our issue, is that, we don't know what to do with the information. We don't know what to do with what we learn as we learn. But for the love of cheese and crackers, people, we've got to move on from the name. We got to move on from the name so that we can get on to more important things. Okay.
Right.
We got to get on to more important things, right?
Before we do anything else,
it seems like every 15 years we're fighting about a name again, and there's so much else to fight about.
I do want to point out,
Dwayne, we got comments, and then we have somebody who just joined. So
yes, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Trixie Martin says, "Hey, Queen Toya." She also says, "People of color is good." Elknaya says, "I agree with you, Tanza." And then let's welcome Indira.
Hey, Dyra.
Hi.
Oh my God, that's my auntie.
Okay, well, she's on the panel. I don't know if she has something to say, but you can go on from here, Dwayne.
Thank you so much.
I just want to say,
for me personally, I don't have no beef with nothing of that nature. For me personally, I chose to use the word melanated, not to talk about melanin. I chose to use the word melanated for me personally, because I realized that these people grouped a bunch of people together and just called them all the same thing. And like, my grandmother is Native American, Blackfoot Indian. So when we talk about these things, it's like, okay, we'll go back to Africa. I don't have nowhere else to go. I gotta go to Kentucky. I gotta go to Kansas City. I gotta go here in America. But then this place wasn't called America. So I do it for me personally to try to get all, like I said earlier. So what's the step forward? To unlearn all that bull crap that they taught us. So the reason I don't use black is because that's crap that's been taught to me. The reason I don't use African American is that's crap that's been taught to me. The reason I don't use black and Negro, that's crap that's been taught to me. I use melanated because I know that's what I can identify with. I can see that. I can't see African American. I can't see black. I can't see, I can see my melanated skin.
I see other.
Can I say something really fast? This is Amanda. I had wrote something in my notebook a long time ago, but it's not a conspiracy to destroy Black men. It's a conspiracy to destroy Black boys. If you destroy him as a boy, he will never become a man. Does that make sense to?
Yes, and that I want to touch on, because even like when I came up with the topic, right? The reason I came up with the topic is to talk about some issues we have in our communities, and then so I can bring forth some solutions. You see what I'm saying? And I apologize that the title that I chose was just so controversial. I apologize about that. But something that the young lady said, it struck me, because one thing I have down here is the lack of education and miseducation. So where you have a young Black boy and he's constantly being miseducated, misled, you know what I'm saying? And then he grows up, he'll never be able to become a true man because nobody truly taught him that. Me, for instance, I can use myself as an example. As a child, nobody taught me how to become a man. I learned how to become a man off of YouTube. The Way of the Superior Man by David Dana, that taught me how to be a man. I didn't have a man to look to and say, oh, okay, well, this is the principles of a man. This is what a man's supposed to do. I had to go read a book at the age of 18 years old to teach me how to be a man. And I had to read that book like 10 times so I can really grasp the concepts. And when that book talking about being a man, it's not talking about with no Black man out here, or you got to protect your own. You got to do, it's talking about learning how to work with energy, learning how to properly communicate, learning how to properly reciprocate, learning how to properly submit. You see what I'm saying? So I hope that answered some of your questions. Well, your question, I can't even, I don't even know her name to ask that question. But as like you said, to piggyback off of what she said, if you indoctrinate a Black boy he'll never learn how to grow up and become a man. And that was happening to me. So I most definitely like to piggyback on what she said. That's accurate. That's so accurate.
Let me piggyback on what you're saying, my brother. Hey, I'm gonna use this example from this movie, right? We all should know this. That movie Life with Eddie Murphy them, right? And Martin. Y'all remember that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, check this out. Now you remember when Can't Get Right, this is what they call all Black men. So I'm gonna break this movie down so you understand what they showed you subconsciously that you just told me you feel like, right? There you go. Can't Get Right. Hit the little white girl. Everybody talking about, I'm that baby pappy, right? Now, where them niggas was at when that scene was happening, they was coming from a baseball team, right? So baseball teams are out in the field around a diamond. So basically, these was some field niggas that was in the prison, right? One of these field niggas hit a girl that go in the house. So the girl in the house, like most of our sisters was in slavery, they was in the house. We was in the field. They kept our kids from us in the house. They was trained up in the house. Those that wasn't worthy was thrown in the field. So this is what happens to a young Black man when he goes to prison, 16, 17, 18, comes out 30 years later, still a 16, 17, 18-year-old. You understand what I'm saying? And it's the same cycle because it's keeping the woman in the house negotiable, taking the stamps, signing the paperwork, bringing the recognition to parents just so the male will never have rights. And it's not a fight between the man and the woman. This is something established over all of us because we're vulnerable and need these things because we don't have a rite of passage built up within our own community. You understand what I'm saying? The rite of passage was supposed to give you your rights and your passage, your rights to life and your passage to your economy, your housing, and to be connected to your village. You understand what I'm saying? So now that we are stripped from all of these things and men are castrated to fields and women are stuck in houses and we are unable to communicate and we're wondering what we're going to call ourselves and how we're going to find some more melanin to figure out how to get out of this. You understand what I'm saying? So as we break it down, you know, I'm getting older, man. I ain't going to be here too much longer. You hear me? I'm just like the ones that left here. I done figured it out once I got past 50 or close to 50. You You hear me? It took a long time for a Negro, a Nij, an Indian, whatever I am. You know what I'm saying? We all from this one planet, so I don't have to be too much of nothing, because any man that don't have land behind him is nobody. You have no identity. If you're not a Japanese, if you're not a Hawaiian or a Canadian or African, and excuse me, don't say African, because each of them people say, I'm from Kenya, I'm from Uganda, I'm from here. They don't say they African. You understand what I'm saying? They claim their country with pride because they have a heritage. We don't have that. We African American or whatever we is. And I ain't found African America yet. When y'all find it, take me there. Because this is some...
I'm other.
All right, y'all can have that back.
What you say, Miss Lee?
History is
I
repeating
said
itself.
I'm other.
So I wanna, if I may, really fast, I would like to jump. Well, I don't want to run Sip and Paint show, Ms.Londa show. But the next time I really hop in, I just want to talk about some solutions. I feel like we talked about the issues enough. I didn't get to go down the list, but we talked about the issues enough.
Well, let me talk about my solution real quick, because I've been quiet too long. You know, if I'd have knew what I knew about the placenta, I would have kept it with all my kids. You know, you live and you learn. And I didn't know that placenta was that important for us, but I knew it was important. And I swear right now today, if I knew what I knew, I begged my daughter to keep hers on it, but she ain't know no better, so they wouldn't let me in the hospital, so they took her placenta. But if she know what she know, she'd have kept that on her baby. So I just wanted to say that I didn't know that placenta was us. You know, I didn't know it was that deep with us with that placenta. So go ahead, you got the flow.
Anybody else got to go before I go?
Nope, I'm just learning today. I don't have a lot to say. My mouth is closed.
So one solution, unlearn. We have to unlearn, family. There's a lot of stuff that been crammed in our heads from our ancestors, from other people, from outside forces, from the media. You know, these things not even facts. I was just watching Neil deGrasse Tyson today, and he was talking about there's 3 types of truths. There's an objective truth, which is true whether you agree with it or not. It's true. And there's a personal truth, which is only true to you. It's not true to everybody else. And this truth is what we call a belief. He said, and then there's a situational truth. So it's a truth that could be true in this instance, but not in this instance. You see what I'm saying? And when I was sitting listening to him and listening to that part, it's like, okay, we got a bunch of personal truths stuck in our head, family. A bunch of them. And the worst thing is, it's not even our personal truths. They're other people's personal truths that we just hold to be true because somebody told us it. We gotta get all that. And one way to get all that is the best way to get all of that out is meditation. Now I know a lot of people, they always talk and they sit and I don't know how to meditate. I don't know how to meditate. Meditation is a state of being. It's not something you do. So everybody meditates, whether you know it or not. It's just whether you're doing it consciously or unconsciously. So, like, for instance, say y'all feel like laying down watching a good movie. You see what I'm saying? Great. All you have to do in that moment is be conscious. Be conscious of how you feel. If you feel comfortable, be conscious. You see what I'm saying? Now, a lot of people, they believe that when you meditate, you're supposed to stop thought. No, it's impossible to stop thought. But you let thoughts roam. You don't sit on thoughts. What I mean by that is, you know how you ever just been sitting down and a thought pop in your mind and you've been pondering on that thought. Oh my goodness, my rent is due, such and such and such a day. Dang, how am I gonna get the money for this? And you just keep pondering on that thought. When you're meditating, the thought come in, all right, I ain't got the rent for and it goes straight out. Another thought come in, that boy texted my phone this morning, and it goes straight out. You don't sit and ponder on thoughts. And what this do, family, is it help you get back to you. It help you get back to self. Know thyself. How can we know anybody else if we don't know ourselves? What RuPaul say? How can we love anybody else if we don't love ourselves? So
would I be wrong? I'm sorry, but would I be wrong if I'm saying I'm meditating right now?
No, because you are.
Because I am. I ain't lying to you. I am. My body relaxed, seriously. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
Anybody else have anything they want to add?
Oh, looks like if you don't have
Time out. I want to say something. Miss Sneed, you. Hey, look, I'm looking forward to you, woman, because you be active. I was looking forward to being on this panel with you. Miss Amanda, I was looking forward to being on this panel with y'all because y'all are some powerful, inspirational women. Like, I love how y'all give feedback. I love how y'all take. I really love, like, when I watch y'all, like, I just felt so energetically connected to. Even now, like, I'm actually holding back a lot because I'm really a kid in a candy store. Like, when it comes to this topic and these informations that I get to share with my people, this is what I do. Like I said, I'm a scholar. I'm really a scholar, and I'm a scholar for my people. So because, and the reason I say that, and the reason I'm so passionate about that, is because this is universal knowledge that I'm kicking right now. So they have this knowledge, but they're using it improperly. Some of our, I ain't gonna say most, some of our people have this knowledge, but they're using it improperly. I have this knowledge, and I want to teach my people how to use it in the proper way. So people that's out there working with crystals, I want to teach them how to use them properly. People out there that's working on their chakras, I want to teach them how to use that properly. Because they, like the lady Miss Barron, like the lady Miss Barron was saying the other day about hypnotherapy, right? Is a way you use it properly, and is a way you use it improperly. You see what I'm saying? So everything we do, one thing I just want to make clear to my family is we're doing a lot of things improperly. You see what I'm saying? And it gets deep. So I try to keep a lot of things on surface level so we can really catch a grasp, you know what I'm saying, before we go down a rabbit hole. You know, like for instance, language is something huge that we really have to understand and control and get a grasp on. Because that's one of the main ways we're manipulated. As I pointed out earlier, I don't know how many people here have children and grandchildren, but when you tell your child to behave, you're misinforming them because you're telling them to take action and you don't even know that. You don't even know you're telling your child the wrong thing. But this is why I'm here. This is why I'm here so we can understand these things and so we can make corrections. We don't have to feel dumb. A lot of people, when they get information, they like other people to feel dumb. I got this and da 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 da. But when I get information, I like to share it so other people, I never knew that. Now I can go research that. You see what I'm saying? That's why I call it planting seeds. Go ahead. I don't want to take up all my time. Go ahead, y'all.
I was just gonna say I can definitely tell that you're passionate about it and that you have a lot of information that you want to come across. I think the big thing is that when there's so much and it's so different from the educational basis of the majority, you've got to take it in little bits and pieces, and talk about one ticket item at a time, because the whole shebang is impossible for anyone to receive in, take it in, sort it through, disperse it out the other ear with retaining the right information. It's a lot. People can't do that. And there's no way for us to do it in an hour to discuss the whole, situation or predicament of people of color or whatever in one sitting. So I can definitely see your passion in it. And there's a lot within that topic. There's so many subtopics to be discussed. So I hope that we get a chance to talk about all of those.
I want to say something to you because you asked the question to the young man. Why don't I I'm like a kid in a candy store and I can't remember his name and I'm so upset. What's his name?
Are you talking about the one that you've been talking tonight?
No. The young fella y'all had on y'all show that was 13. What's his name again? Yes. You asked him a question, right? You asked him, how did he get his information? And he told you from source itself, from God itself, right? Now, the reason I wanted to talk to you about that was because that's how I get my information. That's how I get my, and I've been telling people that since I was his age.
Well, let me tell you something. There's a history of people that have gotten information from the guy upstairs, right? And he's giving it to them in chunks and little bits and pieces, right? And then that person, that prophet, would have to spill it out to the masses in even smaller chunks and smaller pieces, right? And so that's probably the step to take when you have an overwhelming amount of knowledge that is coming from a divinely inspired, right? You want to break that down to the smallest. I'm talking stage 1 Gerber, stage 1 to the smoothie stuff.
I don't want to cut you off, Miss Tanza, but you know what's funny about that? When I do that, people look at me crazy. For instance, right? I'm gonna give you a piece of information. You said stage 1, right? Stage 1 is everything in existence is geometric in nature. That's stage 1.
Okay.
Understanding that right there is stage 1. That means I can now say the circle, right, is feminine energy because it has no straight lines.
Okay, but see, that's what I'm saying. So phase one is going to be everything is what you say, geometric
in nature.
Right? And you ain't gonna talk about nothing else. We ain't talking about no feminine energy. We ain't talking about nothing else. You gonna spend that whole day, that whole conversation, talking about nothing else but the geometric nature.
Now, here's everything. Why we have to go into feminine energy.
But we can't. But that's what I'm saying. We can't do that. We can't.
Now, hold on one second. Hear me out. Now, because in geometry, there's such things as the mother of all shapes and the father of all shapes. The mother of all shapes is the sphere, the circle, because it has no straight lines.
But see, now you're going into too much information for today. Now it's too much. This is what I'm saying. Now you're going into too much information for today, even in geometry.
Yeah, and I think that's why we were all stuck.
Right. It's too much. You gotta take it in small. And I know how it is when you learn something new and when you're passionate about something, you regurgitate. It's like you can't help it, especially if it fires you up and you're excited about it. But people can't receive. People cannot receive like that because it's an influx of too much information and too different information. So, always just keep it very simple and one thing at a time.
Okay, that makes sense.
Thing at a time, and let people sit on that. And oftentimes you have to come back. The next time you come back, you have to revisit that same thing again. Still not ready to move on to phase 2. You have to revisit that same thing again and maybe expound on it a little bit. Go a little bit deeper on that. It has to be broken up in stages for it. Now, and maybe it's just me. I don't know, Ms.Londa, because
I agree. Because like I said, I was stuck. I didn't have. I agree.
Now listen, I feel like this. Can I say something for a second?
These comments have been waiting, so I'm
gonna read. Yes, ma'am. I apologize.
I see beautiful people of color. CC Martin says. Stacy says, I see myself as a woman, a Black woman. She also says, I think with so much that is going on now, things are affecting everyone, whereas years ago, certain things affected a certain group of people. It's just the way things are now. What affects one affects all.
And that is so true.
Yeah.
Because it is
have an opinion now.
Going on.
Everybody have an opinion now.
Everybody definitely does. Definitely does. But I look forward to talking about this some more. But keeping it at one thing.
One thing. I feel like if I may say something, right? I did my homework before I came on this show. I most definitely did. Like I knew the women I was talking to, and I feel like the reason it feel like I'm talking about so much. First, because we didn't even get to the presentation properly. Like we just started jumping on the word melanated because it was just in the title. But the reason it feel like so much is because, like, I feel like, again, we have to unlearn a lot because everything is connected. This is why I said everything is geometric in nature. So even when I said, like, the circle is feminine, tangible, like stop, that's too much. But that's connected. You can't understand
but you have to
nothing
make
else
the
unless you
connection
understand that.
slowly. You have to make the connection slowly. And that's another good point, is that consider your title of your topic wisely. Because that is what draws the people, and they're coming with their own. So you've got to really know, where you're going to go with that. But you definitely, I mean, it's a powerful topic. And I think that you can already tell that melanated itself, just that word, is a whole topic right there.
It's a whole topic.
So we can't even get to the geometric
Right.
world.
Because it's like a book.
That's a whole topic, right? And then we want to talk about, our predicament, because I asked Ms.Londa when she sent that out, like, what are you talking about here? Because we got 500 predicaments. What are we talking about? Because
I didn't even get to them.
That's what I'm saying. That's
You were all over the place. You didn't stick to the topic.
That's a whole.
I did. The guy name started talking about melanated as an individual, and then I didn't even get the breakdown because we jumping on name. So I ain't.
But it is 6:59. We've been on for an hour, so we're gonna go on it.
We're gonna do it again, though.
I want to thank y'all.
I'd like to thank all the viewers and everyone who jumped in the comments. I'd like to thank you for joining us, Dwayne, and spreading your information. Everybody have a good night.
Good night, guys.
See you, Dwayne.
See you next